Welcome to Dunsmore Moving Dirt, and I'll tell you the truth, I wish I was moving dirt instead of sand and plum thickets, but out here still doing some mulching. I just shut that thing off. So anyway, I've been trying what to call these patches of plum thickets, something that I can say on YouTube without getting in trouble. I think I'm going to start calling them the Hog Hilton Hotels, and that's what each one of them is. When you get in the middle of them, that's where the hogs have come in here, rooted around, and that's where the biggest trees are at. These are probably 7 foot tall, and they're little ones. Over there on the other side of them trees are some 12 foot tall. But you're going through here, then you hit these hog wallers like this right here, and they've gone in there and wallered out holes, and they throwed sand up against the trunks and stuff, and you don't know it, and you hit it, and then all of a sudden you're in sand a foot deep with your mulcher and everything, and you just start pulling it up. You're just trying to get through it in one piece. But this is where they stay, and this is where they live. I've run out several already, and I'm seeing more of them now because we're slowly getting some of these wiped out. I got another skid steer out here helping me. He's the neighbor that lives up here. I've done some dozer work for him, and he's down right now. He's got a mower mulcher, or kind of a brush hog on the front of his, and he's going around, and he can't, it bogs him up trying to get into this stuff right here. So he goes around and gets what he can get, and then I just leaves all this for me, and I just got to slow down. And like I say, I'm learning a lot of lessons about mulching out here on this job. This is the second week we've been out here. I've been out here most of it. He's helped me. This will be the second day he's been out here. But man, I tell you what, it's just, I've never seen nothing like this, and I sure thought it was going to go quicker and easier than what it's been going. But I'll wind up trying to go through that, and I'm going slow so I don't force more into that thing, and it'll take, and then you're trying to pull it up out of the sand, and it's tearing them up. But I'm just about leveling it up and mulching it at the same time. I don't need to be leveling it up, but there's nothing you can do to keep from leveling it up, or that I figured out anyway. But the 331 is doing it, and that mulcher's a pretty good mulcher. I can get quite a few stuff. Now when they get littler in this, I can tell that when they start balling up. But there's all kinds of these plum thickets. Now these are more top than there are trunks, and I've got into one patch that they're all straight like trees, and that thing really walks through them when they're like that. But then you got one like, here's one that's 2 to 4 inches around. It's more like a tree, and I've seen some as big as 4 or 5, 6 inches, but there's just 1 or 2 of them in the middle, then the rest of them, they just get smaller out toward the edge. But it seems like the middle, of course, is where the hogs want to live, and they get in here and there's nothing going to bother them in here. And that's probably cool when they dig up that sand and stuff, and they got plums to eat there when they fall off the trees. So I kind of went through there. There's some littler spots over there. I'm thinking might can do that with that other rig, and there's some on the other side of that tree line there that I may go over there with the dozer, because it's pretty close to where I can push them off of this place. And it's stuff, it's 8 foot tall. There's vines growing in them, and you wind up just like you're pushing them anyway. And the weather's not very cool. It's going to be 100 today, and we can run till about 3:30 or 4. Then you just can't keep them things cooled down. So of a morning it's pretty good, and you try to see which way the wind's blowing. And so far what works best seems like for that one is I make a pass, and then I back up, then I just move over. You get half the acres that you're wanting to get doing that, but two things that kind of lets everything blow off of it and cool off, and then you start again. And like I say, this, if the patch is very long, I may cut it in half so I don't have to back up so far at one time. But anyway, that's what I'm still out here doing. Like I say, I've been out here, this is the second week, trying to get this plum thickets out of here. And like I say, the new name is the Hog Hilton Hotel, or the Hilton Hog Hotel, I don't know. I'll try to keep it clean when I talk about them. Sometimes it's hard when everything's falling to pieces, but don't like too much on this part. And I'm thinking maybe one more week out here is probably what it's going to take. It's probably all I can stand. So anyway, I just leased this skid steer, and my dozer customer, he bought his, and he may be going to try to do some mulching stuff and mowing stuff up here. And I told him that sounded wonderful to me. Someone call me, I'll know who to tell him to call now. He can tell them if they need dozer work, and I'll tell them call him if they need any of this kind of work done. So I'm more of a dirt man than a mulching man. So anyway, we'll let you see some more of this. Maybe we'll see some wild hogs here. Get on the other side. We run 2 or 3 bunches out yesterday. So thanks for watching. We'll let you see some more of this as we get this project, try to get it wrapped up next week. Got a couple more days we're going to work to that this week. Then take a day off so I don't have to look at plum thickets for a while. So we'll let y'all see some more of that later. Thanks for watching. Bye. Morning, welcome to Dunsmore Moving Dirt. We're not moving dirt yet. I wish I was. We're still out on the brush job. We're on the CRP. I cleared the trees. Now I've been in a mulcher for 3 weeks. I finally got back in my dozer. I'm going to try something. I've got some of these real thick spots of plum thickets, and I mean places are 12 foot tall. And of course I showed you some where there's holes dug in there where the hogs have rooted around in there, and they live in there in the middle of them, and they got 1 and 2 foot holes and just sand piled up against the base of the plum thickets and everything, and it's just a mess. And you go through here, you can't see nothing. You've got a wad of plum thickets in front of you, sand's a blowing. It's really starting to get dry, and I mean, you just touch that sand and it just, the wind catches it, and it's just a dust ball in front of you. You can't see nothing. So I've tried to go, you can't hardly just go back and forth because they're so thick, and after a while they don't weigh nothing. The disc mulcher cuts them off, and then you've got a wad of them in front of you like you've got a bulldozer blade, and you can't see nothing anyway because it's these big bushy plum thickets. So and I know I've watched people mulching and stuff, and they raise it up and sit it down, but that would take forever, seems like, to get through these patches of plum thickets. I mean, I started off with 130 acres and figured I was going to get 2 acres an hour. Well, I learned my lesson pretty quick. I'm getting 1 acre or less than that an hour. But on these big ones, now I may shove these off. I think that may be the easiest thing to do. I'm going to try and see, but right where the big tree line is, I can leave brush because that's not in the CRP. But over here, I've got to mulch these up. So what I'm doing, I'm just going back and forth through here, and I'm leaving my blade about that 1.5 foot off the ground, and it's bending them down and squishing them down a little bit, and I hope then I can go across there with my mulcher. Now I'm knocking them down opposite the way that I'm going to be traveling. I'm going to be traveling crossways this way because I about got to go into the wind. That thing will just not run if I'm going crossways and the wind's blowing, it just gets too much grass in the radiator. So I'm trying to go where if I have to, I can just pull up and back up real fast, and gonna try that. So that's why I'm knocking them down. You can see the wind chargers are facing south. The wind's probably 15-20 miles an hour, so it's blowing the stuff away from me. But I just got to get where I can get over that stuff. And most of the other ones, the ones that are 6 foot tall or so, it's handling them. But these are just so big down here, and it's just a wad of mess. And some of them got briars growing up in there, and it's a mess. So anyway, these over here, I may try to shove them off. These I'm going to keep knocking them down and breaking them off, where I can raise that mulcher up a little bit and just go across the top of them. And I think that might be better than trying to just sit it on the ground, because when you sit it on the ground, you're pushing sand and you don't even know it till it just blows up in front of you. So anyway, I'm going to try that. It can't make it no worse than what it is. So believe me, I am learning a lesson on this mulching stuff. This will probably be the last job that I do. I'll dump it off on somebody else that's got a mulcher and wants to sit out here and play around in these trees. I've got dirt I can move. So anyway, there's a hog right there. Look at him. I don't know if you can see him or not. He's looking right at us. He's in that. He laid down just then. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to shut it off, start it back up, and zoom in. Maybe you'll see him. Okay, I may turn the dozer. He's right in there, kind of black and white speckles. And I think he laid in the ground, so we'll see what he does. Oh, there's more than one. Let's just see if we can see where they go. Nothing else. We'll just chase hogs. There they go. There went one. They're getting in that sand where it's cool. There goes some more. I'm gonna have a little fun. There goes one. They don't know what's after them. A deer after hogs. They'll come out probably on this side over here. This is what it's like when you're going through there with that skid steer, and we're bigger than the skid steers. Well, I don't know where they went. Anyway, I'll set the camera up on the dozer. We might see. moving dirt, been moving sand, or I've been hitting it and it's been moving someplace else by itself. But this is where we was at yesterday. Took a little bit of video. This was a plum thicket here. I mean, plum trees, they weren't thickets. And they were tall as a bulldozer, and I tried to go through there with this mulcher, and they was just balling up in front, and I couldn't see where I was going. And there's hogs, had their sand throwed up around the bottom of them, and holes wallered out all in them where them hogs was wallered out in here, and didn't know what to do. So I brought the dozer over here, and I just kept my blade about 1.5 feet off the ground and just run across here, knocking them down. And I mean, I knew I couldn't make it any worse from what it was, but that made it where I could go across here and still kind of mulch it up a little bit. I mean, I got done what they really want to do on this place is get the wood down where a couple years when that starts to grow back, they can come in here and spray them, and there won't be no wood, and the plant will just die. And, I mean, the more you run over it, it was blowing the first time, and if you was just an inch across there and drop your mulcher down on it and back up, time you got across it, it would just be nothing but a ball of sand. And up here where it's clear is where I just backed up, made one pass, and pushed them off into that area over there, and that seemed to work pretty good. But this is too far to push it from where we're at now to that brush. It would have just been sand, and the sand would go to blowing. But, that stuff's in this sand, and it's not tied. It's not really anchored in the ground, because you just wiggle them bushes, and I guess when that mulcher or a blade hits it, it just bends it over before it cuts it. A lot of them will probably not come back, but there's enough seed in here that there's going to be plums come back. But they can control it by spraying now. Like I say, if they'd have sprayed it when they was 10 foot tall, there would still have been wood on top of the ground, so you'd have still had to mulch it. So that cleaned up pretty good right up here where I pushed that off. But I know it's not a cleaner job. If it would have been hard ground underneath this thing, it probably would have done better, because there was one spot on the end of this hard brush where there was a 60-foot circle of trees there, and the ground was red and it was clay. Man, I run across it, and it mulched them right down to the ground, and you could spin around with the skid steer. You can't hardly turn out here. The skid steer just sinks when you try to turn, and if you back up straight, you can feel it starting to go down. But it'll do what they wanted to do. And I mean, I don't really like the way it looks. It looks rough, but there's nothing else you can do. You can just see there's just sand, there's holes. Right here's a spot where the hogs had really got watered out, not where I was at yesterday. And them trees, they just had sand piled up against all the big ones underneath it. That's just nothing but blow sand, like you're on a beach. Except it's not wet sand, it's dry sand, and you turn in it and it just goes out from under you. So I don't know, I'm sure learning a lot. This is the first mulching job I probably did. I wouldn't have done it. I was just trying to get the guy out of a bind. He had just a certain amount of time to get this done. So like I say, I removed the trees with the bulldozer what I could, the big cedar trees, and you kind of got to keep raising your mulcher up, because you're sinking in the sand. You can't let it run across the top of the ground, because it just starts pushing that stuff into the sand. And I tried to back up and let it go down, the mulch going backwards, and it would just stack up underneath it. So I just never got into anything like this before. I hope I never get into anything. Probably can't see a whole lot. I can't see a whole lot, and I'm driving. That's the way it's been. Started last week out here. Not good at all. The other rig's had a mower, a blade mulcher on there, and it broke down, and they had to haul it back to the John Deere place, and they brought out another, and it's just got more of a cutter on there, and he can get the little ones, and he's going around some of these patches getting what he can and just leaving the middle of them where I can get it, don't go where I can go with this. But it's not, it don't have no mulching teeth on it, so he's got to stay pretty much in the little ones. still messing with the mulching and plum thickets this morning. And yesterday I was in some area that I'd knocked down with the bulldozer to see how that did, because it was just too much standing up. I couldn't go through it. So yesterday I was running crossways with the way I knocked it down. This patch here, I knocked it down this direction and I started going crossways with it. I knocked it down so if I decided to go crossways, I would still have the wind to my engine side, so it wouldn't blow anything off the cutter back toward the engine. But I changed my method. Now I'm trying to go with the way that I knocked it down, and it seems to be going a little faster because I'm not doing this going across the humps of plum thickets that I knocked down. It's almost like there's a windrow of hay there, and I can't quite get, my blade's 10.5 foot. Well, this is just 60 inches, so I can't quite get all that I knocked down one direction. If I catch too much going the opposite direction, it tries to stand it back up, and then I've got to raise my cutter up to get it to go back down. But that seems to be going faster than it was going crossways. You just imagine trying to go, this end is going crossways with it, where you're just going like that. But this has got some pretty big wood in it right here, but I've done this center section right here, and that's working pretty good. And I'm just trying to see which way the trees are laying, and I know I got to go with the trees the way they're laying down. So I'll set the camera up here on the handle and let y'all see some of that this morning. It's been a month since I've been out here on this mulching clearing job, and I've seen all kinds of plum thickets, and I've learned a lot about mulching, and I respect those that do this for a living, because this is my first mulching job and probably gonna be my last. I'd just soon be pushing dirt and pushing trees with a bulldozer instead of mulching them. It's been a learning experience. This rig right here is pretty good as far as getting them down, but I've seen every kind of size and thickness of plum thickets, and I think they're in the state of Texas, but I just got in this patch a while ago, and these are more like trees. 12 foot tall. You can see some of them 2 inches in diameter. Really, these are easier going through than the bushy ones, because you can see the ground. These will kind of lay over and you can mulch them up, or if nothing else, get them to the end and have a windrow and go through there. I'd rather really be going through stuff like this, even though they're 12 foot tall and that big around at the bottom, but there's not much dead stuff. It's easier to mulch, I think. Then you get over here, and here's some that's probably not near as tall. They're still kind of woody on the bottom, and this rig does real good going through the woody stuff. And then you go over here and they start getting a little bushier, and right there, those are just terrible as far as trying to go through with a disc mulcher, because I can go through them, I can cut them off, and then when I get to the end, I just got a ball of plum thickets. Them are more bushy. They're bushy from the top all the way to the ground. Some's got briars growing in them, and they're just one big wad. It's just like a bale of hay there. And over there is, well, y'all saw, I think I got some video of that. I had to go through there and run plumb over them before I could mulch them up with a bulldozer. I mean, that's how bad they were. They was 12 foot tall, and they were like that. Big ones, little ones. And I just couldn't. I know I watched a lot of people mulch, and they go up there, drop their deal, back up, go up, back up. Well, that's all right, but when you're doing 130 acres, you've got to be able to go through them pretty quick, and that's kind of what I was expecting when I took the job, kind of like mowing, but you got a mulcher on there. But it has been a learning experience, I'll tell you that. So there, I do see an end inside. I think a couple more days is going to wipe it up. I've got the other rig. I had a man helping me with a mower mulcher, kind of like a brush hog, and that went down. They hauled it back to Yellow House to work on that. Something in the pump thrashed out, and he's got another rig, and it's more like a mower, but what he's doing helps a lot, because he's going around the edges. He gets what he can get, because The plum thickets, the more mature trees are always in the middle, like that one's got a hump in it. In the middle will be mature trees, and as it gets to the edge, they get littler and littler, and that's how they spread. So he's been going around these spots and getting all the little ones, and just the closer you get to the center, most of the time, the bigger the trees are and the woodier they are. So that's better for me to go through that. So most of the big patches are gone. There may be 1-2 acre patches, and that might sound big to you, but I mean, I was on 30 and 40 acre patches, so seems like they might not have been that big because you couldn't see through them, you couldn't see over them, you couldn't see around them. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. Basically, we just got a strip right through here all the way to where we was coming in. Everything back out of the way is done. All the big trees, the timber's pushed off, everything's mulched up. So it's been, you go pretty good till about 12:30, and then by then it's 104 degrees, and you've got to stop a couple times and get the grass out of the radiator. So you don't go much past between 3 or 4. You just might as well stop and come back the next morning. So everything works much better when it's cool and everything. Of course, y'all run machinery, y'all know it. The cooler it is, the better it is. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on. We'll put the camera up and get a few of these while we're in this patch here. So, but we are trying to wind this thing down so we can get out of here and go find some dirt to move. I mean, that's my thing. I don't mind busting through brush with a bulldozer, but this thing's got a lot going on pretty close to it when you're in there. And those guys that make a living doing that, they've earned every penny of it, what they're doing. So, and I respect them for that, because someone's got to do it. Everybody's got their thing. Mine's on the other end. Mine's on moving dirt and everything with a dozer, or clearing big property with trees. So anyway, thanks for watching this channel, and we'll let you see some video of that today. Bye. Yes, I'm moving dirt with the skid steer and a mulcher, because right here, this was a pretty big hog hotel, and there was big wallered out places here, and where all that loose sand is, when I'm going through there, I'm getting into the sand and filling in some of the hog wallers, and about all I can do right here. That stuff is so big and thick. I'm just leaving my mulching kind of low, and I'm just pushing into them, and it's cutting them off, and I just keep working them out. I got an open area around the edge, and I'm trying to get them out there. Then once I get them out there, I'll just have a big windrow like I do here, and I can work on gobbling that up, mulching that up. But you just can't see nothing. You just go through there, and then you'll fall off in some of these old wallered out places where them hogs was wallering them out. But so I'm slowly getting it. Like I say, you get you some cleared behind it, and then you've got a place to push it. And then once you get it out there in the windrow, you can kind of handle it. But that's about the only thing you can do. So I am moving sand, I'm moving brush, and I'm doing it with the skid steer and this disc mulcher. So seems to be working pretty good. That may not be the proper technique, but I just can't see how you can go up there and just raise it up and set it down and back up and just do that 1 foot at a time. At least I'm clearing 10 or 15 foot when I go forward, then I back up, and then I just work my way around. You just can't hardly go down the side of it, because you've got one side of it that you're in the brush, and you just can't see nothing. So I just move the whole corner of it out and get it out there. Then I try to water it around and mulch it up. Once I get it out there on hard ground in a windrow, I can pretty well roll it and raise my cutter up and set it down on there and kind of mulch up the windrow. So that's the way I'm doing it right now. So I'll set the camera up inside and let y'all see a little bit of that. back in here probably for I thought I seen them. They didn't have a very big spot to hide in. I figured they'd have went farther than that. Good morning, welcome to Dunsmore Moving Dirt. We're out here where we did the tree removal and the plum thicket removal, cutting down, mulching, whatever you want to call it. And today is a good day. It's moving out day. Got my truck up there at the tank batteries. Everything else is way over here. This road's so sandy, you just can't come down in here and try to get nothing. Had a guy that's helped me, he had a skid steer break down, and while we was out here, and he was way over here and you couldn't get to him with nothing in the side by side, so they come to get it and haul it in, and they had to bring a brig loader, bring it out here, pick it up and drive it up to the highway carrying it. I was hoping I'd catch them while they was doing that and get a picture of it, but they was in here and gone and I didn't even know it. So anyway, this is where I have spent the last month and probably 6 days up here north of Vernon, doing all cleaning up this CRP. Learned a lot about a skid steer with a disc mulcher and what it's like to run one just on blow sand. That's what it is everywhere out here underneath the cover. Once you break through there, it's nothing but blow sand, and you can sure tell it because it pulls everything down. So last 2 days have been, it's been hot and the wind hadn't been blowing very much. And man, when the wind's not blowing and everything out there just is brittle, the grass is brittle and dry, and if the wind will blow a little bit, it'll kind of keep some of that grass and stuff away from the back end of that skid steer. And if it's like it is like this, when it gets 100 and something degrees, the wind's just barely blowing, and I mean that thing don't run no time at all till it's got grass all up against the grill going in the radiator and in the radiator. And yesterday I think I just liked a little bit finishing up. I think I run about an hour and a half and looked down there and it was starting to act like it was going to get warm. So sure enough, I stopped, and the back side of the grill on both sides of the cooler and the radiator were just solid grass. So I raked it off, and man, it cooled right down, and there wasn't no way I could have run too much yesterday, because it was just, you just couldn't keep the grass away from the radiator. And that disc mulcher, well, when it gets into dry grass the way it is now, it throws it out in front of it, up in the air, it comes out the back of it, and it's not 6 foot from you and you're trying to outrun it, and you got to have the wind where you can outrun that grass. But most of what I did out here, I just took an area, I couldn't circle it, I couldn't go up and turn around and come back the other direction because I had to stay away from the wind. And so I just kept the wind to the back end of it. I'd pull up, mulch going forward, back up, move over another width and go like that. So really I was backing up as much as I was going forward, so that kind of cut my production time down in half. But that's the only way you could run without it getting too hot. So anyway, we're going to get the dozer first and move it on just 2 miles down the road. Got a little old job over there to do while I'm up here. Then I'm going to come back over here and get the skid steer and take it back to Yellow House and turn it in. I'm through with it. And so we'll let y'all see that here in a minute when we get in the dozer and start heading back up that way. It's, like I say, it's supposed to be 106, 107 today, and the wind's not supposed to be blowing. I think heat warning is to start about dinner, so I wanted to get up here and get everything moved and get off the road, and probably won't come back up here till in the morning on the job where we're taking the dozer. So we'll start that tomorrow, and then I'll explain all that when we get up there. I got to cut a pond dam, and we're trying to divert some water to a lake. It's kind of over the hill, so I about got it done. I built the terrace, but it crosses a little ridge and it's pretty flat, but the water will get to where we're going. I'm just trying to eliminate so much standing water before it gets to that terrace. So we're going to bring it into the terrace up higher and going to run it through a little pond, which it already goes through there, but when the pond's full, it backs back out in the waterway and comes down to the terrace. So we're just trying to save a few steps and get it down there a little quicker. So anyway, we'll let y'all see some of that here in a minute when we get to the dozer. Thanks for watching. Bye. Okay, safe and secure, uneventful, which is a good thing when you're loading something up. So, well, I'm gonna get in the truck and turn on the air conditioner and head to Wichita Falls. So we'll let y'all see that tomorrow when we get started, where we took the dozer. And Thanks for watching this channel. If you hadn't subscribed, wish you'd do that. Share it with your friends and hit the like button. And till we meet again, I got rubber tracks and no blades, so I can't keep my blades shiny, and I keep my tracks clean. They're pretty clean. So thanks for watching. Bye.